Hey everybody, I haven't made a video in quite some time. I feel like I'm saying that on every new video I make, but I really haven't been making this consistently as I have been in the past. But I'm here to make a vinyl finds of all kinds video, and as you can see, I've really acquired a bunch of records over the last couple of months, and I want to show them to you guys right now. So, first things first, I'm going to put these over here, and I'll take from the stack. I've been on kind of a blues kick, so I picked this album up, and I'm not at all a blues, an obsessive blues fan, but I like the blues every once in a while. I like a lot of the blues guitar players. So, pick this up. This is Albert King. This is, got a little glare going on here. This is Livewire Blues Power. It's on the Stax label. There's the back there. And I've always been a big fan of Albert King, and he actually plays guitar the same way I play. He plays it left-handed, but he doesn't reverse the string, so it's like left-handed upside down. A few other guys did that too, like Dick Dale does that. So I've always been aware of Albert King because of that reason alone. There's the record there on Stax. I've listened to this 2 times now, and I really like this a whole lot. I looked up online, and it's just considered a classic. I totally understand why. It was recorded at the Fillmore, I think the Fillmore West. Yeah, Fillmore in San Francisco. So, just a really cool album to have and add to my blues collection. So, really happy to pick that up, Albert King. And another guy who's kind of a blues, well, he was a blues guitar player, and then he played with Bob Dylan a lot. This is Mike Bloomfield, and I'm sure you've seen in my other posts, he did an album with Al Kooper called Super Session, which is fantastic. He was in Paul Butterfield Blues Band. He had his own band called Electric Flag. Then he kind of went off on his own and did some solo stuff, and this is an album I picked up. The record's in the actual sleeve here, or what do you call it? What do you call it? As if I don't know. The cover is in really bad shape, and it didn't even come with an insert, but it's kind of like old-timey kind of blues stuff. A lot of there's the label there, a lot of acoustic style blues, kind of like Robert Johnson kind of stuff. But I picked this up for I think like $1. And I actually really liked it a whole lot. It's really fun to kind of put on in the background and just kind of sets a mood. So that's Mike Bloomfield, and it's called Aniline. Or Anilin, I don't know, I think it's Aniline, something like that. There's the back. I don't know if I showed you the back yet. But yeah, happy to pick this up. And it's on, what label is this on? Takamo Records. Never heard of it. Maybe you have. Okay. Oh, I got another blues one here. Might as well skip ahead. This is, speaking of Al Kooper, this is a band that he was in called the Blues Project. And I have another one of their albums, but I finally picked this one up. This is Blues Project live at Cafe A Go-Go. And this is a really cool record. Good live record, and I think it actually is a truly live record. I don't think they did any like sweetening up in the studio or anything like that. It's on the Verve label, and this is, I believe, an original pressing of it. There's the Verve label. Again, I picked this one up for a pretty good price. I have to say, I feel like a lot of people talk about how they pick things up for, especially me, talk about how they pick things up for such a good price. Hope that doesn't annoy some of you out there. If it does, I apologize. But I feel like a lot of people would like to know how much some of these records cost. I know a lot of times in the comments people say, like, how much did you pick that thing up for? I don't like to give an exact number, but I do like to say if it was like a good, in my opinion, a good deal, or if I did pay a lot for it. So that's why I mention those kind of things after I talk about a record. So I did pick this up for a pretty good price. And to me, a pretty good price is anything under like $10. That's a good price for a record that's in really good shape. So yeah, this is the Blues Project live at Cafe A Go-Go, which I really like a whole lot. Okay, then I picked this album up. This is Led Zeppelin, In Through the Outdoor. And I'm not a huge Led Zeppelin fan. In fact, I kind of missed the whole Led Zeppelin boat when I was discovering music. I wasn't alive when they were making albums, of course, but as far as like, I discovered the Beatles, discovered the Stones, discovered the Kinks, and Bob Dylan, and all that stuff. I just never really jumped on board with the Led Zeppelin boat. Then about a couple years ago, my uncle gave me Led Zeppelin 4, which I really like a lot. And then I picked up for myself their first album, which I like, but those are the only two I've had. Then a couple days ago, I was in a record store and I found this In Through the Outdoor for $3. So I thought that's a great price. The sleeve, actual jacket here, is not in the best condition. A couple, wrinkles and scrapes and scratches and all that kind of stuff. But the record itself is in really good condition, which is why I picked it up. It's on the Swan Song label. And I like this record a whole lot. I was surprised. A lot of the stuff I read about it online, people really knocked it as like, oh, it's Led Zeppelin at their weakest. It's not a heavy record at all. And Jimmy Page didn't have much to do with this album. It was really dominated by Robert Plant and John Paul Jones. But to me, this is a fantastic record. I liked every single song on here. And like I said, I'm kind of a novice when it comes to Led Zeppelin. So songs like In the Evening I liked a whole lot. Fool in the Rain, even though that's a popular song, or I really didn't know much about it until I listened to it on here, and I think it's fantastic. So, and it has All My Love on here, of course, which was a huge hit. So I really like this record a whole lot. And the cool thing I read about this is that this sleeve, this like inner sleeve here, if you put water on it, it changes color. I don't know if you can see that. See, I put a little bit of water and I dabbed on there. You get a little green line, which is kind of cool. So if you put this whole thing in water with watercolor, it would turn green. That's a cool little feature, I thought. So I was really happy to pick this album up, and I think I'm going to try to get more Led Zeppelin records and just try to complete my collection, because I really do like them a whole lot. I just, for some reason, I didn't get obsessed with them early on, but now I like them, and this album really got me excited. So that's Led Zeppelin, In Through the Outdoor, which also, by the way, is their last record they made before John Bonham died. So the last true Led Zeppelin record. So there you go. Okay, then I picked this up. This is Les Paul and Mary Ford, and it's called The World Is Still Waiting for the Sunrise, and it's like a compilation of their biggest hits. And for me, the reason I got it is because I'd heard the song How High the Moon by them. I forget where I heard it. I was watching something or reading about something, and they talked about it. And I was like, oh, I'll look up the song up on YouTube. I loved it right away. I loved the recording of it. So I picked this album up. And this is a huge surprise for me. I totally fell in love with this record. The songs on here are really kind of jazzy but upbeat. And he was just like, Les Paul was just a pioneer in every respect, as far as he's a pioneer of electric guitar, but he was also a major pioneer with like multi-track recording. So a lot of these songs are from like the late 40s, early 50s, and they have layers and layers and layers of overdubs of his guitar and stuff. So this is just a really, really cool record, and it's on Capitol. This is a compilation, like I said. This is released in 1974. Got this kind of unique Capitol label here. See if I can... It's glare today. It's really sunny out here today in old California. Anyway, it's the yellow Capitol label. There we go. I take it away a little bit. It's better. Yellow with like orange writing is the label. So there you go. For those of you that care about the label, I'm one of those that care about the label, so I figured some of you are as well. Again, I picked this up for a very good price. Okay. Then I found this. This was, I think this is in like a dollar bin. This is a band called Little Feat, and it's another band that I've always heard of. I've heard of Lowell George. I knew Van Dyke Parks had some kind of involvement with this band as well. This is the album called Feats Don't Fail Me Now. It's kind of cool because it's a promotional copy, which is always kind of nice to have that sticker on there from Warner Brothers. And I've only listened to this once, and I didn't. It was very good, but it wasn't something that I was like blown away by at all. My girlfriend actually is a kind of a pretty big Little Feat fan, so as you can tell, this is not in the best of shape. But the record, as is the case with a lot of these cheapy ones that I pick up, is in really good shape. They're on the Warner Brothers label. So I need to listen to some more of this and try to get a feel for what Little Feat's about. If any of you have a recommendation of another Little Feat album I should listen to, maybe instead of this record or in addition to this record, please let me know in the comments. I would love to get to the bottom of Little Feat. So there you go. And another one that I picked up, I got this at a thrift store for 99 cents. This is Jon Stewart. This is called the Phoenix Concerts Live, so it's a live record of Jon Stewart. And I've been a pretty big fan of Jon Stewart for a while. He wrote the Monkees song Daydream Believer, and then he was in some folk band. I can't remember right now. Not the Kingston Trio. Maybe it was the Kingston Trio. Anyway, it's escaped my mind right now. But he was in a folk band for a while. Then he went on to do more rock and roll stuff, and he has an album called California Bloodlines, which is one of my all-time favorite records. Anyway, this is a live record, and he does a lot of the songs from California Bloodlines on this record. And this actually features a pretty amazing band. It has the drummer Jim Gordon, who drummed on Derek and the Dominoes album with Eric Clapton and Duane Allman. And Jim Gordon also played on some of George Harrison's All Things Must Pass, and he's just a fantastic drummer. Anyway, it's a gatefold, and this was in like amazing shape when I found it. It was actually in my computer's went to sleep, so let me unsleep it. It was actually in not a shrink wrap, but in an actual like a plastic sleeve that I'd never really seen before. Not like the ones that we're used to. It was like a very thin, almost like shrink wrap, but it wasn't shrink wrap. Anyway, that's what it was in. So it was well taken care of by whoever owned it before I did. It's on the RCA label. And this is really, it seems like it's never really been played, so big time score on that. And it's a double record. And I think I listened to just the first record so far, so I still need to kind of dive into this a little bit more. But anyway, it's Jon Stewart, the Phoenix Concerts. Oh, and another blues one, I guess I forgot about this one. I picked this up. This is John Mayall, and this is Back to the Roots. This is, again, another double album. And I think I got this one for around $5 to $7, maybe like that. And this one has Eric Clapton on it and Mick Taylor, who played with the Rolling Stones. This is released in 1973? 1970. Okay. So it's earlier than I thought. So anyway, I'm going to listen to a little bit of this as well. And it's on the Polydor label. And from what I've heard, I like it. It's pretty good. I don't know if I'm a big fan of John Mayall's voice all that much, but the guitar playing is, of course, excellent because you get Eric Clapton on a lot of tracks. And Mick Taylor, I'm a big fan of Mick Taylor and all he did with the Rolling Stones. So again, I need to give this one a little bit more attention and really dive into it. But I know it's a classic album. I've seen it all the time in record stores before, and I finally picked this one up just because it was in such good shape and for a really good price. So couldn't really go wrong with that. So there you go. Okay, then this one I actually got for free. One of the record stores I go to, if you spend over, I think like $10, they have a free bin. And so this was in it. And this is always a record that I've always heard about and seen. This is Dilford and Tilbrook, or Difford and Tilbrook. They are from the band Squeeze, and this is an album they made, which is basically a Squeeze album, because they're the main guys in Squeeze. And this album is really, really good. I think, I could be wrong though, I don't think this has actually ever been released on CD, so you can only get it on record or cassette. So I picked this one up, and so you can see it's got the original shrink on it. It's even got a little hype sticker there, which is I know Joe would appreciate that. And it's on A&M Records. Can't really see it. There you go. I guess when it's further back, it's a little bit better. Anyway, happy to pick this up, and especially for the price of free. Great songs. These guys write really, really good songs, so you really can't go wrong with anything that they've ever done. So I'm a big Squeeze fan, so I was happy to add this to the collection. Here's another thrift store find. I got this for 99 cents. This is Paul Simon, Hearts and Bones. And I haven't listened to this one yet, but I know a lot of the songs on here, like Hearts and Bones, and then the late, great Johnny Ace. And I believe this is the record that Paul Simon was working on with Art Garfunkel, and then at the last minute he decided that he just wanted to do it as a solo record, and he erased Art's tracks on here. I think that's the story. There is the inner sleeve there. This is right around the time I think they did the concert in Central Park, time of Garfunkel. So it's on the Warner Brothers label. Man, my computer's having a hard time getting these labels for you guys. See if I do this. Oh, that's a little better, but not much. Oh well, you know what the Warner Brothers label looks like. It's that very 80s Warner Brothers label, white, with the Warner Brothers sign up there. So, like I said, I haven't listened to this as an album yet. I know a lot of the individual songs, but I'm going to do that very soon. I'm sure a lot of you guys have the same problem, but do you... I have so many records now, which I'm very grateful for, and I treasure them all. But I have so many records that sometimes it's like really... It's a daunting task when I actually want to listen to records to put something on. Because for me, I could always listen to the Beatles. I could always listen to Dylan. So I tend to listen to a lot of Beatles stuff, and I'll even different pressings and all that kind of stuff. And I'll skip a lot of this other vinyl I pick up, like, this Paul Simon record. I'll forget about this and I won't listen to it. So I have to make a point to make a pile of records, like I have right here, and try to listen to those when I feel like listening to something new. So, do you have that same problem? I feel like you probably do, because I know I do. Anyway, Paul Simon, Hearts and Bones. I picked this one up, the next one here, just to try to give it a chance, and I don't really like it all that much. It's really middle of the road, like 60s country is what I would call it. But this is Dorsey Burnette, brother of Johnny Burnette. And the only reason I know about the Burnette brothers is that the Beatles covered some of their songs on Live at the BBC. So there's this one thing where John's talking about. Says, next song we're going to do is a song by Dorsey Burnette, brother of Johnny Burnette. I think it's that song. I think it's a song Anne Margaret did, possibly. Anyway, this is Dorsey Burnette, and I picked this up, and like I said, I don't love it. In fact, I don't love it so much that I might end up donating it, or I don't know. If one of you wants this, let me know, and you can have it. I might. I'm at that point with it, and I'm running out of room, and anyway. So I picked this one up. Just being honest with you, folks. I know a lot of times I say things like, I really like it, and this is so great, and I'm really happy about it. But there are sometimes I pick up records where I'm just like, it's kind of a dud. That one's kind of a dud. Unfortunately, another dud I picked up is this album by the band Split Enz. There's this one song by Split Enz called 6 Months in a Leaky Boat, which I absolutely love. It was my favorite song for a hot second there. So I thought I'd pick this album up. Got it for 99 cents. This album is called Conflicting Emotions. And it's okay. Let me just say that. It's an okay record. It's produced by Hugh Padgham, who actually produced Paul McCartney's album Press to Play. He was like a big 80s producer. He also produced Phil Collins, and he's known for that like gated drum sound that was huge in the 80s. So this album is very 80s sounding because it was released in the 80s, so you can't hold that against it. But the songs to me just kind of don't, they're a little bit lackluster for me. Nothing really stands out. It's on the A&M label. But it's in great shape. This is the one, though, where I feel like I'm not going to write it off yet. There might be a time where I'm gonna like, I want to listen to Split Ends. I want to give this album a chance, and maybe I'll end up liking it a little bit more if I'm in a different frame of mind. But first listen to this, I wasn't all that thrilled. So there you go. Okay, just a couple more left. Another 99-cent thrift store find. This one is a complete exception here. I love this record. It's fantastic. This is Emmylou Harris, Roses in the Snow. This is kind of considered a classic record from what I looked up online. It's considered one of her best. The session players and the guests on here are just amazing. You got Dolly Parton, Linda Ronstadt, Willie Nelson. One of my favorite guitar players, Albert Lee, is on here. So this is just a really, really cool record, and her voice is just fantastic. If you like Emmylou Harris, this is a great, great record. These are basically like a lot of old kind of like country songs. She also does covers of like Paul Simon's The Boxer. Just a really cool record. It's on Warner Brothers. Again, having trouble showing you the label, but I guess you'll just have to believe me that it's on Warner Brothers. So, Emmylou Harris. Okay, 3 more. I went on a Birds kick. Another band that I just didn't really know much about other than their hits. So I decided to pick up their album, Mr. Tambourine Man, which is a classic. This is a stereo version on Columbia. And I absolutely think this album is great. I really like it a lot. It's a later pressing. It's on the Columbia label. Oh, that label shows up really well in this lighting, which is surprising. It's on the red Columbia label with the orange Columbia written around it, So this is probably like I guess a 70s, possibly 80s release. But I really like this album. My favorite song is I'll Feel a Whole Lot Better by Gene Clark, which is probably my favorite Birds song. It's just great, great tune. They do a lot of Bob Dylan songs on this album, of course. So I was really, really glad to get this. And actually, this one I paid kind of maybe a little bit too much for. I think I paid like $15 for this one. But I really wanted it, so didn't mind paying. And the record's in great shape. So the Birds, Mr. Tambourine Man. Then I picked up this other Birds record. This is called Dr. Birds and Mr. Hyde. And I actually like this one quite a bit. It's like them being like kind of psychedelic, but also very like country at the same time, like country rock. And actually, every single song on this features Roger McGuinn on vocals, which is the only time I guess that ever happened on a Birds album. And this is an original pressing on the Columbia label, as you can see there. And my favorite tune on this is King Apathy III. It's a really, really cool tune. I also like Child of the Universe as well. So, happy to pick this one up. And to me, it's such a different record than Mr. Tambourine Man and all that. And actually, in fact, this doesn't even have David Crosby or Chris Hillman or Gene Clark. This is just Roger McGuinn with a bunch of new Birds members. So, still a good record, though. And there's the back. The back's kind of cool. There you go. And last but not least, I picked up the Birds' Greatest Hits because I figured I needed to get this. And actually, I got this. Man, there's so much glare in here. This video should be titled, "The Video of Brian Trying to Show You the Records Without Glare." But he failed. Oh well, this is the Birds' Greatest Hits, and I picked this one up before I picked up the other Birds albums. I liked it a whole bunch. Like I went to sleep again. That means this is a long video. But I have a lot of records to show you, folks. And this is again on the Columbia later label here. So this is I guess this is a repressing or later pressing. But this has a bunch of the tunes that are on Mr. Tambourine Man and a bunch of their other early albums. But I really liked 8 Miles High, and My Back Pages is fantastic too, which is a Bob Dylan song. So really, really happy to pick this one up, and I've become a pretty big Birds fan because of this. So, those are my vinyl finds. Hope you enjoyed this video, and please in the comments below let me know if you have anything to add or maybe I said something completely wrong, and you feel like, hey, that was really wrong. He needs to know the proper. He needs to be corrected. So if that's the case, please below in the comments let me know. I'm always happy to see those. So anyway, that's it for now. And I do have some Beatles records that I've recently picked up, but I'm waiting to get a few more to make an actual video, because right now I think I only have 2 to show you. So we'll have to wait until I get about 4 or 5, and then I'll make a proper Beatles finds video. So until then, that's it for now, and we'll zoom in on the birds, because why not? See you next time.